of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tristero. Chapter 152. Hell. Part 4. The more Overhaul talked, the more Aizawa Shouta wanted to cause him real physical bodily harm.
She's 4 years old and vital to the cure I'm creating. Your compliance when it comes to the both of you undergoing necessary bloodletting isn't required, of course. However, for her sake, I'd appreciate you not kicking up a fuss, as she finds the experience taxing enough as it is.
He was a monster unlike Shigaraki and Todoroki Enji. He spoke eloquently, confidently, and truly believed the contradictory greed-based madness he was peddling as inherently good.
You'll be responsible for cooking 3 meals a day for our group every day. Do this well, and there'll be room for negotiations within the terms of your employment.
You've never seen a guy complex quite like it.
However, your main duty outside of Eddie's general care and maintenance is to ensure that she masters her quirk through your skills as a mentor and your eye-based gift. That is why I consider you valuable. Be valuable. That is your new purpose.
The irony of his plans read like some ill-written manifesto crafted by a person who'd spent more time in a lab than he had with people. God! To think that he'd had this child in his grasp for just over a year. What kind of state would she be in? How could Overhaul not see her as a child in need of love, affection, and nurturing? It made him sick to his stomach. He... Knock, knock. Turning his caustic gaze from the preening menace to the door, Shouta steeled himself.
Come.
However, as the door swung open, he felt the animosity he'd been building spike intensely before his parental instincts quelled it. She was so small.
Eri, this is the man I was telling you about.
She was dressed in nothing but a dulled, overly washed hospital gown, and her ash-white hair hung in thick, limp tangles near her waist, whilst tiny shoeless feet curled inward shyly upon the no doubt cold yet similarly spotless immense floor.
Now, what do you say?
Her arms and legs were wrapped in fresh bandages, and her crimson eyes peered into the room hesitantly from behind the ivory-dubbed Yakuza's legs, and as their gazes met, I'm supposed to say... He knew that he'd get her out of this place. Hello, Papa? No matter the cost. Talking to Nato on the phone had punched right through the emotional dam he'd been desperately trying to hold up as he and Mirai were whisked away to the airport in Valentino's Amore limo. The Italian pro had given it to them with her blessing, since its large size and shape offered both privacy and room enough to change into his civilian clothes.
We didn't go for that. A run with him, Dad. I'm sorry. Son, you have nothing to apologize for. God, you could have been hurt or taken too.
His best friend was sat next to him, his tone soft and laced with regret as he spoke to Tomura. Dabi was unavailable, he'd said. There had been 17 missed calls from him and others on his phone when he'd finally gotten his hands on it.
When will you get home? I'm on my way. I'll be with you before 1300, I promise.
God, how we longed to hold the boy, and to that end, Hisashi was going to drive him, Hitoshi, Izuku, and Tomura to meet him at Tokyo International Airport, whilst the others continued the search, the study group still chaperoned by Jin's clones, as Chizome joined up with Hamdog and Oracle in an attempt to follow whatever vehicle had been used in his husband's abduction.
It's going to take you that long.
Swallowing thickly, Toshinori swiped at his eyes once more.
I'm sorry, Nato. I'm doing everything I can to...
Oi! Blinking, his exhale a little shakier, the number one heard his son sniffling away from the speaker as Shota's first ward took over the call.
How's signing the treaty go? Nabi-kun, was it worth it?
God, it couldn't have felt worse if Shigaraki had punched him in the gut at full strength.
You were meant to come back home last Tuesday. Then it was Tuesday, and then you weren't returning until this coming Wednesday.
The other continued to sound flat.
I couldn't believe how understanding Sho was about it all. Did your people even need you there for this long? Or were you just having fun? Nissan, please don't.
Listening to the flame quirk user grit his teeth, the so-called symbol of peace felt very small and very, very stupid. The younger man was right, of course. He'd seen this banding together of pros from across the world as his magnum opus. He'd thrown himself into the project with vigor in an attempt to retire without a guilty conscience. He'd been looking forward to a future that he'd never questioned not being there.
That'll be good.
He breathed, his eyes screwing shut.
You have every right to be mad at me, to hate me.
He told him, his voice strained.
I welcome it. It's the least I deserve, and I swear to you, I swear to all of you on my life, that I will find him. I will find him and return him to you. To all of you. I don't hate you, you idiot!
Gasping, his tears springing afresh, Toshinori clutched his phone and waited with painfully bated breath.
Just get here as soon as you can, alright? Nessie wants to lock everyone up at UA, and the kids are panicking, and we don't know what to do about the cafe and show. We don't know where That'll be good.
He breathed.
You're being so strong, so brave, and Shouta, he will be so proud when we tell him, you know?
He tried before his eyes flashing as he pulled the phone away from his mouth.
Oi! Doesn't this thing have sirens and a rocket mode? We need to get to the airport!
He shouted, his tone causing Marai to attempt a snicker. He could hear echoing down the phone line from the sometimes surly young man he thought of as a nephew, in the same way he did Tamra. God! He'd let him down. He let them all down. How could he have been so careless, so belligerent and neglectful? But no more. He didn't have time to wallow in such things. His family needed him to be strong. They needed assurances, action, and All Might's gritty determination in the face of the impossible.
That'll be good.
And he would give them that.
I don't know who's behind this, but I promise you that they won't get away with this. I already have my sidekick scouring every nook and cranny across Japan, and I'm calling in every favor I'm owed.
He furthered, his tears drying under the heat of his rage, the blaze of his protectiveness, the wildfire of his hatred towards anyone who dare to harm those he loved.
Keep our precious people grounded. You're good at that.
He complimented.
And told them that I love them. They need to know that, just as they need to know that Shona is alive. No one would go to this much trouble not to want him for something. Of that I'm certain.
He stated, his tone grim.
And I'm going to make them regret their decision to take out Catman in every way I know how!
Papa was nothing like she was expecting.
Why don't you go show him your room, son?
His eyes were dark, but kind. Oh, okay. And unlike most of the men who looked after her, he smelled like fresh, clean clothes and something almost floral, almost like the apple she loved so much. His face didn't scare her either. He didn't wear one of those scary masks, and although she was sure she'd seen him scowl at Chisaki-sama, he'd given her a smile that had made the awful, painful knotting in her tummy settle down.
Can I hold your hand, please, Harry-chan? This place is getting big and scary, isn't it?
She really liked how he looked her in the eyes. How he tentatively offered his hand to her, his voice smooth, soft, and gentle. It made her relax, even with her supposed big brother's golden eyes so sharply fixed on her. She knew that this was important. She knew that Papa had been brought in as a last resort to help her. She knew that if she misbehaved even one more time, then she would end up like Grandpa. She'd been brought to his room a couple times, his pale body limp within a nest of similarly pallid sheets, whilst a bunch of machines beeped and buzzed and kept him alive, and, what was worse, it was her fault that he had to stay like that. Chisaki-sama couldn't wake the only adult who'd loved her up, and they couldn't be together until she helped the man most of his underlings, called Wakasama, to save the world. Her grandpa, he wouldn't want to be awake in the world as it was. A world where the Yakuza were dying, where smiling people wearing capes got to call the shots, as Hari said, where pros disrespected great men, Irinaka-san said. A world where pros disrespected great men, Irinaka-sama said.
Aizawa, after you've settled in, you can get started on lunch, right?
Tilting her head from the featureless, whitewashed floors and walls to regard the cruel, skeety man who liked to steal her favorite dolly, Eri tilted her head. She'd not eaten anything since 6. Fish porridge, Nemoto said, was good for her constitution. Whatever that meant.
Oh yeah, sure. What does your boss have in mind?
So, Papa could cook? He could cook different things to what came in packets?
Food preparation is my forte. Just make enough for 12 people, and remember that you'll be eating it with us, so no funny business, capiche?
She couldn't remember eating anything that didn't come out of a box or packet. Well, not since Mama had...
Understood. And I want Eri-chan to be with me in the kitchen, too. She's underweight, malnourished, and I want to know what she likes. Plus, if he is wanting her to help him so much, that I'm going to make certain that she's eating better than all of you. Understand?
Oh?
Really? You're a cheeky motherfucker, aren't you, huh?
The blonde chittered, a bony elbow knocking into her new caretaker's side. We are...
That's enough, Setsuno. Overhaul-sama would approve of that, I'm sure. She's not a fussy eater, but, well, none of us really know what to feed a kid like that.
Blinking the small ray of hope she'd felt fizzling, Eri returned her eyes to the floor until that hand which clasped hers gave her a little squeeze. Looking up at the man... Looking up at her new papa... She felt her eyes widen as he winked at her, his lips mouthing, "It's okay." And for once in her young life, she really thought it might be.